I will say about this contest, now going ahead, if I was Lee Wood's team, or if I was his advisor, I would have advised him not to fight. I would advise him not to fight with someone as heavy-handed as Lara coming in at that weight as well. So he's going to have a massive weight advantage as well.
Yeah. Just on that, because that's the second point. That's the second point. The first point regarding check weightings. Now, Gareth, you could speak obviously very similar to me on this because we cover a lot of MMA, and we see fighters in MMA waterlogged when they're cutting weight, and they're dropping massive amounts of weight overnight in a 12-hour period, hit the scales, rehydrate, and then they're ready to rock and roll the night after. And we're talking best part of a stone for some people, which is a ridiculous amount of weight. And I've always been really apprehensive about the way people cut weight in MMA, and it was quite evident to me this week that Maurizio Lara was probably going to go down the same route. He was going to waterload, he was going to try and flush it out of his system, which is technically dehydrating his whole body in order to make 126, rehydrate, and then obviously you can't fully rehydrate in that short allotted period of time before you go back into the ring come Saturday evening. I think that check weigh-ins and boxing is actually the better way of people making weight, because you're always going to get fighters that try to cut the corner, they're going to try and get that advantage, try and be the bigger guy when it comes to fight night. I think monitoring it properly over a period of time is the better way of doing it. And with all due respect to Maurizio Lara, it's not the first time he's fought in England. He knows the situation, doesn't he, Alex? You know, we've been here before.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing to say is most of the domestic British, Irish, Welsh, Scottish fighters, they're used to the system. They know. Foreign fighters come across, it is something very different to what they're used to. However, he's been over twice against Warrington Leewood, so he knows the setup and he should have done better. All I would say, 2 points. One is, as long as that check weigh-in is being applied the same every time.
Agreed.
Because we're only hearing about it every now and then, and I can't believe, given the way that most fighters make weight these days, boxing as well as MMA, I suspect that will have happened before this, but it seems like it's one red herring. That's the first point. Second point is, I think the whole system needs to change. Everyone, and you know this from MMA, everyone's fighting in the wrong weight division.
Yeah, I agree.
No, but hang on. There's a few points. But hang on. There's a few points to raise. Boxing and MMA are different sports.
But making weight is the same.
No. Hang on a minute. No, they are. But hang on. It's a different type of fight. Remember, because boxing, it's mainly head blows, okay? Yeah. And in MMA it goes to the ground as well. There's lots of skill to. No, it's a dangerous thing. I don't disagree with you, but the weight cut in boxing is more dangerous. It's a longer fight where you can get a standing count. MMA fights tend to be stopped quicker when someone's in real trouble.
I agree with what you're saying. But making weight is the same.
It is, but I mean huge quantities of weight. Like, boxers should not be allowed to lose weight as much as MMA fighters are in that space.
Well, that's what we're saying, though. That's what we're saying.
Particularly boxers is what I'm saying. And particularly the smaller weights.
When Amir Khan fought Canelo, Amir Khan's a welterweight who went up to fight Canelo at middleweight, and Canelo was on the night rated like 185.
Listen, when Floyd Mayweather fought Juan Manuel Marquez, he was 16 pounds heavier.
So the point So the point that you're making there, Alex, obviously, we got in check weights pre-fight. Should there also be check weights for rehydration?
Well, the problem with that is if we are going, because what the potential danger is that fighters are crashing weight twice. Or they're crashing weight to meet the check weight, rehydrating, and then they're crashing weight again. So it's a very, very difficult problem. I think the rarity in boxing in particular is you get a fighter like Carl Froch. He's the only guy who springs to mind in recent years who fought anywhere close to his real weight.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
He's the exception rather than the norm.
Do you know what's funny? I was in Belfast yesterday,
but it should be the norm.
And they weighed in early in the morning on the Friday and had a ceremonial in the evening. And I do like that 30 hours. That 30 hours to put weight.
I like them fighting at the stand around weight. Why do we have to crash?
I completely agree with you, but people think psychologically it's advantage. What we must make clear about Maurizio Lara is a lot of people out there on the prism and in the echo chamber that social media is, people think he's cheated his way into this week, and he's not. He's just chosen a system.
No, he's been unprofessional. He knew the system.
No, but No, but I don't think he came here knowing that, because he's been here twice.
Yeah, he knows the system, so he knew that he had to be within a certain percentage of 126.
Missing the weight by that much is unprofessional for a little guy.
It is.
I know this, like missing the weight by 4 pounds is ridiculous.
Is there a time though, because this is what I've been trying to talk about with this team. You know I speak Spanish, I gave him a ring. Is there a time sometimes in your career, is there ever a time when you travel and for some reason your waters don't allow you to drop the weight?
Of course.
Yes, when you fly, that you know that could have been a problem. But listen, he hasn't come over like yesterday. He's been here a while. You know,
and he knows the system.
Absolutely. So your body would readjust again anyway. That may only happen for 24 hours. So
do we think he's being unprofessional? Or has he been unlucky?
He's been unprofessional. There's no doubt about it.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask each one of you this question. Do you think, forget about the idea of safety and all of that, which is the paramount point.
Of course.
But just put that to one side and we can briefly. Do you think if he'd have been allowed to make weight, do you think he'd have made weight?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I think in a waterload he'd have flushed it out and he'd have got himself down to 126. Absolutely dangerous way of doing it, but I think he would have hit 126.
But they're all doing it. Either us knowingly, seeingly, or otherwise, they're all doing it.
Even though he's not defending his world title tonight now, I still think it's a harder fight for Leigh Woods.
But this is the thing now, this is the thing. With what happened, should the fight, this is the second point, should the fight now have been pulled off? Because we have a guy that actually boiled himself down to 126. Leigh Woods made the weight. He doesn't walk around at 126, he made 126, and then his opponent was allowed to weigh in at 128.5, who looked nice, healthy, big, nice and full, rehydrate to whatever he wants to rehydrate to today. And we're talking about a guy that knocked him out cold last time, and he's a puncher.
Absolutely, and here's the other side of it, here's the other option, or the other thing that could have happened. Right, Mauricio Lara's come over here. We know he's always been tight at the weight. He may have just outgrown it. He's tried to make the weight, recognises now he can't make the weight, so he's going to have to give up the title anyway, because he's going to be too weak to drain down to that weight, and thinks, well, you know what? I'm going to get stripped, so I'm going to come in at a weight that I'm comfortable, so that I'm going to win the fight, and then just move up in weight or whatever. That could have been another side of it. That's something else that could have happened. Actually, he knew he was going to make the weight, because he has. If you've tried to make the weight, you miss it by ounces or a pound at max. You don't miss by missing it by 4 pounds. You are not trying to make weight, mate. That is a fact.
Well, there's another question for you all. Who is advantaged or disadvantaged most by the fact that Lara hasn't had to weigh in at the right weight, and yet has only been allowed, we think, a £10
He's coming at,
rehydration
he weighed in at 138 today.
So more or less
138.
So 9.5 or 9 pounds of a leeway. So he's not. He might have.
And Leigh Wood will be at 131 or something like that. I imagine.
So he's weighing in at 138, which is about 10 stone 5.
Yeah, but the answer to your question, Leigh Wood.
No,
because Leigh Wood has cut weight.
10 stone.
He's cut weight to 126, so therefore he's dehydrated himself to a certain extent. Obviously, he's rehydrated and got himself ready to fight this evening. Lara's not been through that process.
Or is he boiled down to the marrow and he's in a dangerous position physically anyway?
No, I think he's recognised that he can't make the weight, so he's coming at a comfortable weight.
Should the fight be going on?
I would have pulled Wood. I would have had to pull him.
That's not Leigh Wood, though, is it?
But Leigh Wood shouldn't be given the option. He's always going to say yes. This is Leigh Wood's dream. Leigh Wood wants to be two-time champion. He wants it against Lara. If you're going to ask any fighter anywhere on the planet, they're always going to say yes. It should not be his choice. For me, the fight should have been pulled, and Leigh Wood should therefore be fighting for a vacant title against the next challenger, whoever that is.
How does this look? Imagine Leigh Wood gets knocked out badly tonight. How does that look to the outside world?
Horrific.
Boxing can't police itself again, is what it looks like.
But even worse, what if Leigh Wood has the night of his life tonight? Because then what happens is that the promoters and the broadcasters and the fans go, what a great night. And we all forget about this moment. We all forget about that moment. And when we bring it up in conversation again, the argument back will be, well, we would have denied Leigh Wood his greatest ever night. We would have denied him that. Yeah, but At what risk do we put this man's life to in order to have glory? Yes, there's glory there for him this evening to become a 2-time world champion, but he's risking his life, and that's what he's doing against this ferocious puncher that's already knocked him out. I don't think that's worth it.
There's another big point here as well, which we need to make overarchingly, is there's a brilliant world title fight with Conor and Lopez in Belfast. We got a brilliant world title here on talkSPORT with Coley and Bellew Smith, the cruiserweight title, and we're discussing another fight between Wood and Lara in Manchester.
Yeah.
Never in my 32 years of boxing can I remember 3 world title fights on one night in the UK. It's a disgrace, frankly.
In 3 different locations, is what
in 3 different locations. Because in 3 different locations, obviously, on 3 different broadcasters. You should be able to watch a fight live and not have to choose and thin the fans out and the media coverage out, and that's what's happened this week. It must not happen again. The promoters need to sit around a table. I've done a piece on this today in the Telegraph. The promoters need to sit around the table and not do this rivalry stuff over fight nights. There's 3 of the next 4 weeks coming up. There aren't major fights. Ridiculous.
Or the British Boxing Board of Control needs to be given or allowed the authority to kind of ring fence certain dates, micromanage who gets.
Absolutely.
Because there's an element of that. I've been sort of hearing interviews and listening closely to this over the course of the last couple of months, and it seems like there's been an element of communication behind the scenes, at least with boxer Ben Shalom, Frank and George Warren. Yeah.
And Ben Shalom speak to each other. The last event that was put together, what Eddie Hearn's explanation to me yesterday for having the Manchester event with Lee Wood is there's a backlog of events because of COVID. They couldn't get anywhere in Nottingham. They wanted Nottingham, and this was the weekend available for Manchester, so he went with it. But this was announced first. The Bournemouth was only available tonight. Belfast, of course, is a slightly different territory, and they're running that at 9 o'clock tonight, aren't they? Lopez versus Conlon, and they're going to structure it. 3 on the same night is unacceptable, frankly.
Well, nobody wins.
Yeah,
the fans. How do you win?
All the fighters, Adam.
It's like the amount of people that will send us messages this evening, whether it be on social media, one will be watching it on the screen, you've got it on a laptop, you've got it on a phone. You can't indulge in a fight wholeheartedly if you've got 3 screens going on.
You can't appreciate
do that.
You can't appreciate it. You can't, people like this event. Look at this event that we're at right now. These spectacular settings down here in Bournemouth, where the weather's been absolutely beautiful, and we sit and you go, people are denied that because they want to go and see someone else, or they're invested in someone else, and it is a shame. It's a real shame because, this is something special.